Welcome to another ukulele tutorial. I'm Lara, and today I'm going to show you 5 different variations on the island strum. Now the island strum is a very common strumming pattern for ukulele, and chances are it may even be your go-to pattern when you play songs. If so, I think you're going to find these variations to be a lot of fun. In case you're not familiar with the classic island strum, first I'll break it down for you, and then we'll move into our 5 different variations. I'll also give you 2 different chord progressions so you can practice these variations and then you'll be able to apply them to your favorite songs. Let's start off with our classic island strum. Here's what it sounds like. This pattern is made up of down strums and up strums, and here's the combination. Down, down, up, up, down, up. The rhythm of this pattern is 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. I want to point out that I'm playing a tenor with a low G. If you have a high G on your instrument, you can follow this entire tutorial. Just keep in mind that your 4th string will be 1 octave higher than mine, so when we strum, yours will sound just slightly different than mine, although we'll be playing the same notes, just 1 octave apart. As we move through this tutorial, if you'd like to see anything at a slower tempo, feel free to slow down the playback speed of the video using the video settings down below. The first of the 2 chord progressions we'll be using in this tutorial is C to F to G7 and back to C. If we apply this classic island strum to this chord progression, here's what it sounds like. For our first variation, the second down strum is going to be elongated. So rather than the standard down strum, it's going to sound like this. When we add it into the pattern, it sounds like this. Let's take a look at this one up close. Here's what this elongated down strum looks like up close. I'm starting off with my ring finger, followed by my middle finger, and then my index finger, one at a time. Now I'll play through our first chord progression using this variation, nice and slow. As you practice and learn each of these variations, as with anything new that you're learning on ukulele, it's always a good idea to start off slowly, at a slower tempo. Be patient with yourself and give your right hand some time to learn these patterns, and over time you'll be able to play them faster and with more ease so that you can apply them to your favorite songs at your preferred tempo. For our second variation, we're going to add some percussion after the first up strum. That percussion is going to be a knock on the side of the instrument. I'm going to demonstrate this using our second chord progression, which is G to A to D and then D7. So here's what this second variation sounds like. Let's take a look at this one up close. Here's our second chord progression using this variation at a nice slow tempo. If you're enjoying this tutorial, please give it a thumbs up and thank you so much for subscribing. I very much appreciate your support for this channel. Our third variation is going to be a combination of the first 2. So using our elongated down strum on the second down strum and also knocking on the side of the instrument for some percussion after the first up strum. Here's what it sounds like to apply this third variation to our first chord progression, starting on C. Let's take a look at this one up close. Now I'll play through this third variation nice and slow using our first chord progression. For our fourth variation, we're going to bring in a chucking technique. Chucking is a method of muting the strings and creating a percussive sound. Here's what this sounds like. Now let's take a closer look at this one. We're going to mute the strings with our knuckles after the first up strum. And you can practice this just with the up strum and the chucking. After you mute the strings, next comes another up strum. You can do this in multiple ways. You can use just your index finger, wherever it may land, which means you may only be picking up the third and the fourth strings, or you can use multiple fingers to pull on the strings away from the instrument. You can practice it both ways and see what you prefer. One good way to practice this sequence of muting followed by an up strum is to do a very simple pattern of down, up, mute, up. And here's what that looks like. Now I'll play through our first chord progression using this fourth variation, nice and slow. Now we've come to our final variation. This one is going to be a combination of our elongated down strum on the second down strum plus the chucking. Here's what this sounds like on our second chord progression, starting on G. Now let's take a look at this pattern up close. Now I'll play through our second chord progression using this fifth variation, combining both the elongated down strum and the chucking. Now I'm going to cycle through the first chord progression, starting with the classic island strum and moving through each of the variations so you can see them all in sequence. Now we've walked through 5 different variations on the classic island strum, and you have 2 different chord progressions that you can use to practice these variations, learn them in your right hand, and then apply them to your favorite songs. If you have a favorite of these 5 variations, I'd love to hear it in the comments below. I hope you've enjoyed this tutorial. Now have fun with your ukulele, and thank you so much for watching.